Darcy Tucker, we should introduce you properly. Great jacket as well tonight. Thanks for stopping by.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
It's awesome. Yeah, I don't know, just to maybe pick up on a thought, 44 years of broadcasting, and I'm sure you've got a few, but maybe that bless you boys story.
Yeah, you know what? People ask me what one of my fondest memories, or my fondest memory is a Toronto Maple Leaf, and I always go back to that game. I wasn't even playing in the game. I was actually hurt, so to be in the locker room and for our guys to gut it out, and Joe's call of the game was absolutely amazing, and we left it all on the line that night in Ottawa, and then to bring it back home and obviously win Game 7 and move on is a pretty special moment in Leaf history.
Have you got the goods on him, too? What can you tell us about your time around Darcy?
Oh, no. Well,
the stuff we can tell.
He was actually on the plane back then.
yeah.
Shots fired.
But what was the night in Los Angeles when we stayed in the old hotel?
Yeah.
You're not real good with ghosts and goblins and stuff like that. And didn't Eddie Balfour and was it Tommy Fitzgerald hide in your room?
Yeah, so
tell that story.
We left from Anaheim after the game to go to L.A., and the boys started telling some stories on the bus about the hotel that we were going to stay at in Los Angeles was haunted. So we get
an actress had been murdered.
Yes,
and the elevator would never work,
and it never would go to the floor that it actually happened on. So we get to the hotel. We're sitting down to have a meal after the game, and a guy comes from the hotel and says, "Anybody want to tour the hotel? Talk about some of the stories that the hotel's been through over the years." And Caber and I are kind of sitting together, and he's like, let's go. I'm like, I hate this. I don't want to go, but I'm sure these guys had it all set up. So we end up going through this little soiree through the hotel, and we head back to our room. And the minute I open the door to the room, I know I close I'm meticulous when it comes to the bedroom. So the closet door was open, and I knew it wasn't before. So now I'm starting to hit the panic button a little bit. I'm like, Caber, that door wasn't open when we left. He's like, yeah, it was. Relax, go, take your stuff out, do your thing. So we get ready for bed, and I go to sit on my bed, and Caber's like, my sheets have moved. The sheets on his bed had moved, and I'm like, okay, now I'm really freaked out. And just as it comes out of his mouth, my bed spins. It turns. I'm sitting on it, and it actually moves. I jumped from my bed like Scooby-Doo into Caber's arms and was screaming like crazy. And meanwhile, needless to say, Tommy Fitzgerald had hidden under my bed for 10 minutes. And Ed Balfour was behind our TV cabinet, and he was all covered in dust and just to get me, you know what I mean? But those are the pranks that team played on each other. But I was scared to death.
I love it. That's the good stuff, right?
Oh, that was a great conversation piece the next day and all that.
Bet.
There was sweat pouring down his head. I don't think you slept more than 2 minutes that night.
Did you find Fitzy?
I didn't. I didn't sleep at all, Joe, to be honest with you. I had one eye open the rest of the night. But, yeah, it was all good fun. The fact that Fitzy actually fit under that bed was kind of crazy to me. And what was actually under that bed that he was laying on to wait that long, probably pretty gross. So the joke's actually on those two.
I got to ask, for those who don't know, and maybe it's very well known, tell me about the origin of Cujo. I can understand the connection. We get that. But maybe who was the first to come up with it and how you all ran with it?
I think it was Robert Dirk. I always go with that. I think Dirkie was big, tall defenseman, tough guy, and he just he came up with it. Cujo. He couldn't say Curtis Joseph, so he's like, hey, Cuj, and that's how it originated in St. Louis.
And did you help run with it with either the mask or, did this became a brand?
Oh, yeah. Right away, I was
this thing exploded.
Oh, Stephen King movie, Cujo. Are you kidding me? I'm going to and I'm going to do it simple because my idols before me had simple masks that you could see on TV, like Jerry Cheevers and Ken Dryden, Mike Palmetier. Like these, you could see them on TV, and they were great. So I kept it the same.
Beautiful.
Always kept it simple so you could see it, not too detailed. And
a lot of guys now, they don't keep it, right? They switch it. You kept it.
Well, those guys that I grew up idolizing, they kept it.
Yeah.
So that's how you're recognized by it. So I kept the same.
Yeah, continuity, right? I was at the game where he was in net for the St. Louis Blues, and Doug Gilmour scored the double wraparound where he faked 2 or 3 times. I was actually behind the net, and correct me if I'm wrong, was it triple overtime? It was at least double.
Yeah, it was at least double. Was that a good goal or?
And listen, let's put it this way.
I
When he
always give it to
scored, it
Dougie.
took me 10 seconds to figure out that he did. And I think it was 12:30 at night. And how hot was it in the building that night?
No air conditioning, hottest building that I had played in. And, I'd lose 12 pounds. I remember coming out and my buddies from high school would look at me and go, oh my gosh,
What happened to you?
You're a fraction of yourself. And I'd come out like,
Who was your guy on the road? Who'd you run with? Who'd you hang with during your time in Toronto? Who were you most likely to gravitate towards?
well, I was not in charge of setting up dinners or any of that, and Ty did a lot of that,
Yeah.
which is great. And Matt's wasn't either, but I did have a lot of dinners with Matt's and Ty and, the trainers and whoever wanted to come out. So, lots of those. But we weren't running too much. We were, you're playing a lot of games. And,
Stop it.
Yeah.
It's the internet. You can say anything you want. No, I'm
No, I
kidding.
know, but I had 4 kids at home too, so
Sure, fair.
I actually got to watch TV on the road. I was pretty pumped.
Rest is good sometimes,
Yeah.
right? Get on the road. Have
Yeah,
a
I was
great
excited to
sleep,
watch TV.
Yeah. Well, I don't think it's changed too much now, but
Yeah, I was going to say, when you look at what's going on with the Blue Jays right now and how that team plays for each other, last night's outcome was extremely unfortunate. We don't need to go into that, but that team that you were on, those teams, that Maple Leaf teams, and I know a lot of those guys, and it was a great group of guys that hung with each other and really cared about each other, right?
Exactly. We had a lot of characters, obviously. Tuck's course, Ty come to mind, and everybody else.
Sideshow Bob, as Darcy was called.
But we had each other's back. It didn't matter if something happened to one guy. I mean, the whole team would come in. We had a lot of characters, but we had a lot of character also. So that's why we won too. Ottawa didn't want to face us in the playoffs, even though they had better records. You could tell, and we knew it. And so we had great playoff teams.
Did you like games where you...
So what Pat did best was he let everybody play. Nobody was squeezing their sticks. If you're going to fight, you're going to fight. If you're going to hit, you're going to hit. Sergei Berezin, if he was going to try and make moves at the blue line, turn one over, he was still going to play. So he really had a long leash for guys, and I think that bode well for that type of team.
but knowing how to get the most out of each individual, right? Like,
he'd reel it back in when he needed to.
Yeah.
But for the most part, it was a long leash, and we had characters. You can do that when you have character guys and good leaders, I think.
Would he smoke cigars in the room? What do you remember
Oh, yeah,
about that?
you could smell the cigars, and you're like, I wonder if that's Dominican or Cuban. I think I got good at recognizing where they were from.
Welcome to Scotiabank Arena. Welcome to Unsportsmanlike Content. Tonight we celebrate greatness. 50 years, a record that may never fall thanks to Daryl Sitler, Toronto Maple Leaf great. Tonight we welcome in some friends as we reminisce about a special night. There's the patch tonight that I'm wearing. 50th anniversary of the 10-point game. Daryl Sitler, number 27, as we welcome you inside Gate 5 with some greats tonight. We are wearing all things Daryl Sitler, including the salad. This is embarrassing. This is the point in my career now where I'm wearing fake hair. So too is Brad May and some very special guests. I'm out of here with this. Mr. Ian Turnbull and Mr. Lanny McDonald. Gentlemen, thank you so much for being here. How are we doing?
We are doing great. As you could see, Daryl wouldn't have got the 10 points without those first 2 goals right there.
For sure. Hey, Lanny, I'm so fired up that you guys are here. Ian, when I was a young boy growing up north of the city, I watched you guys. You guys were my heroes, and now I get to stand on this stage with you. What's it like being back in Toronto? I know you guys, and celebrating one of your best friends, Daryl Sitler.
It is so much fun to be able to be a part of it, and to imagine 50 years ago that this record would not be broken. It's absolutely unbelievable.
It is absolutely
Get
phenomenal.
you to lift this thing up. There we go.
There we go.
That's how it
Can
works.
you hear me
Yeah,
now?
now we got you.
It's phenomenal to be here. Again, what Lanny said, 50 years have gone by. I mean, we haven't aged a bit.
No. How about the relationship? As teammates and as brothers in blue, you guys have had a lot of time to reminisce and tell old stories. I guess wonder just about the friendship and the on-ice relationship that you guys have both had with Daryl.
Well, for myself, and especially Ardell, Ardell and Wendy were best friends. So were Daryl and I. And even when our playing days were over, it was every day talking to them. Now it's twice a week. We don't talk about goals and assists. We talk about kids and grandkids. And it is so much fun to be back here celebrating this great day.
How about for you, Ian?
I remembered actually the night that Daryl scored all those points. I was the driver. We all lived out in Mississauga. And of course, I was notoriously late for everything. And I got in my car and I was late. And I was picking up Lanny, picking up Daryl. And I looked at my gas gauge, and lo and behold, no gas. So we had to stop for gas. And of course, Sit always wanted to be at the games like 3 hours before. I, on the other hand, love to be there 10 minutes before. So anyway, we pull into the gas station. This young kid comes out, and he's awestruck. Here's a whole bunch of us in the car, and he's going, oh. And he goes, Mr. Turnbull, can I check your oil? I said, sure, why not? Now Sid is really going now, because we're late, no gas. The kid, and I say, oh yeah, sure, look under the hood. So the kid goes under there, and he checks the oil, and then he says, well, you need to top it off. But he also checked the radiator fluid. And he poured the oil in the radiator fluid.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So he said, well,
Remember this, Lane?
it'll only take a minute. I'll drain it. So all of this is going on, and Sid is getting steamed. Like, he's just going crazy.
He's
hot. Going nuts. So we get going on the road, and he's yelling at me the whole way, all the way down to Gardner. You son, I'm never, ever going to play or ride with you again. And I said, oh, okay, well, that's okay. That's fine. So anyway, we get to the rink, and lo and behold, 6 goals, 4 assists.
Unreal. This is the day.
That was the day
that's
that
the day.
he scored
No wonder you
those
take
points.
Okay,
credit.
so let me ask you a question, and I'm being a little bit of a smart ass, but you got to spend a lot of time with Daryl and Lanny in the afternoon. How much did you spend in the defensive zone with these 2 offensive players?
Defensive zone?
Defensive zone.
I don't even know what that is.
That was Tiger's
spent a lot
job.
of-
Did you guys?
That was
spent a lot of
Tiger
time
or
up
Errol's
ice.
job to go back and get us the puck.
Yeah.
Come on.
So at any rate, he scores all the points. And after the game, he used to sit beside me. And I came in and I said, Sid, getting there early is overrated,
Phil Kessel.
Yeah.
He was your roommate. Tell me about Phil.
Yeah, I tell all these stories about Phil all the time, and still my favorite one is just he was my roommate. We're in Pittsburgh at the time, and he used to take the clothes hangers and pinch the screens together because the sun would come in, right? So he would take them and pinch them. One morning, 7 a.m., it falls off, and he's like, "Oh my God, Chris, turn the lights off!" And he's like, and the sun's peering in on his eyes. I'm like, "Phil, you're like 4 feet away from me." He's like, "No, you do it." It was just like
incredible.
constant stuff like this. Like, I have so many great memories. Even one, like I said, we were in New York one time. Comes on, or we're heading to the game. He goes, Steger, I feel like crap. And that's, a lot of people heard the story, but I'm like, it could have been the bowl of cheese you ate. Like, he ate a whole bowl of cheese for pregame, right? After the game, he comes off 1 goal, 2 assists, and he goes, "I guess I didn't feel that bad after all, Stegs?" So, man, so many great memories with that guy, and what a teammate. I got actually a great squat story. Do we have time for the squat story?
Squat story?
Squats.
Yeah.
I walked in, I'm like, "Phil, look at you, man. I can squat way more than you. Like, there's no chance you could squat as much as me." He's like, "Let's get to the gym now." He goes in there, he chucks on like 4 pies a side, squats like 10. And I'm like, "I guess you can squat more." He goes, "See, told you, Steger, nothing." And I'm like, I actually was shocked at the amount of weight he could lift. And he was ice cold, no warm up, just popped right on there and did it.
What do you miss most about the broadcast side of it? Because you were and continue to be a household name in people's minds when they think about the game and the connection between the television side of it, the broadcast, and what we're seeing.
Well, let me take you back to my very first broadcast. It was in Edmonton, and I was doing a broadcast with the great Don Whitman. I'd never done a broadcast. I was up in the booth, not between the benches, and as we're watching the festivities before the game, my headset is not on, and I'm enjoying every minute of it.
Yeah.
And he looks at me and he pushes the mute button and he says, "Hey, idiot, put your headset on. You think Canada can hear what you're saying?" Oh, I never thought about that. And so that was my first broadcast.
I love it.
And then we carried that on for many, many years. And then we went to the Between the Bench location. And Mark Askin and Leafs TV, we were one of the first to give it a try.
Legendary
during
producer.
the lockout, John Shannon. And as we were kind of doing our thing, and we thought we'd do unique things. Like we would bring a radar gun between the benches and see how fast the guy could shoot the puck. That would be totally unique. And I remember the very first time I had a radar gun, and I had it, and I was shooting what a defenseman would shoot the puck. And Sidney Crosby skated by the bench. He looked at me, he goes, "What the F is that? A radar gun?" So we were trying new things, trying to revolutionize what would be, how do we bring these great fans closer to the game? And then the Olympics, Sochi, doing those games. Wow, that was unique. I don't think I'd ever replace that with anything. Stanley Cup Finals, doing many, many of those, and watching other players lift that 35-pound trophy over their head. So I would never take any of that back. I loved every bit of it, and it was all about the fans and bringing them closer to the game. But what a journey that was for a guy from Pickering, Ontario, who didn't have a rat's ass as to what he was supposed to do when he first broadcast the game, because no one here was to teach me like you have tonight.
Well,
so,
yeah.
But what a journey. It was a great journey.
Well, you nailed it. And I always thought you were just so great for it. It was a natural fit, and you worked with some of the very best in the game in terms of broadcasters. Mr. Cole.
Beyond,
right.
You know, when I looked at Bob, you know, you think about Bob Cole, and we should pay reverence to him.
Indeed.
And Greg Millen, who worked for many years with Bob.
Love Millsy.
And God rest his soul. We miss you, Millsy. You're one of the best. But Bob, he had a call every generation that was so awesome for Canada. You know, when it came to the Russians, they're going home. They're going home. And then it was, you know, the Olympics and Joe Sakic. Surely that's enough. And then I loved in '98 when he did the Olympics, and it was to go into the shootout. And he said, well, we're into overtime. There'll be 5 minutes of you know what, and then you know what, and then you know what.
Isn't it great?
No one says that. No one explains it that way, even though
the delivery.
I didn't really explain anything, but
right.
Boy, oh boy. He was just a wonderful, wonderful guy. And, oh, baby, Mario to this day loves every bit of that. So I got a chance to work with all the greats. I am honored to do it.
You did.
It was a pleasure. It was one of the best things that I think I've done outside of playing. And, gosh, if I knew this job was this hard, I don't know if I would have said yes. But we're doing it now, and we got gas in the tank, so off we go.